You already know something is wrong. You feel it. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, in the spaces between your thoughts. In the moment you choose comfort over effort. In the instant you reach for your phone instead of facing yourself. In the silence after you made a promise to yourself and broke it again. You know, and that quiet knowing is what brought you here. So let us not waste time pretending otherwise. Most people will never say what I am about to say to you. Not because it is cruel, but because honesty has become rare. People are too busy performing kindness to actually deliver it. I am not here to perform anything. I am here to talk to the part of you that has been neglected. The part that has been buried under excuses and comfort, and the endless noise of a world that profits from your weakness. I am here to speak directly to that part of you. And if what I say makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is the first signal that something real is happening. Here is the truth you have been avoiding. You are not stuck because of your circumstances. You are not stuck because of your past, or your family, or the city you were born in, or the opportunities you did not receive. You are stuck because, at some level, you have decided that staying stuck is safer than moving forward. And you have built an entire architecture of reasoning to justify that decision. You have become a master of self-deception. Not because you are a bad person, but because the human mind will do almost anything to avoid the one thing it fears most, and that thing is responsibility. Responsibility is terrifying because it removes the exit. When you accept full responsibility for your life, you can no longer point outward. You can no longer blame the economy, or your upbringing, or the people who wronged you, or the system that was designed against you. Some of those things may be real. Some of those injustices may be genuine. But here is what no one tells you. The moment you hand your power to external forces, even real ones, you have disarmed yourself. You have traded your agency for the temporary relief of having something to blame. And that trade is one of the most expensive trades a man can make. Look at the patterns in your life honestly, not through the lens of who wronged you, but through the lens of what you repeatedly choose. Every morning you wake up is a choice. Every hour you spend consuming instead of creating is a choice. Every conversation you have where you seek sympathy instead of solutions is a choice. Every time you wait for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself, that is a choice. These are not accidents. These are decisions. And until you see them as decisions, you will keep making them without awareness, without intention, without change. There is a particular kind of weakness that is almost invisible because it wears the costume of sensitivity. It is the weakness of needing to be understood before you are willing to move. It is the weakness of requiring external validation before you allow yourself to feel worthy. It is the weakness of measuring your progress by how many people applaud it. This is a trap. And it is a sophisticated trap because it feels meaningful. It feels like connection. It feels like you are simply someone who values being seen. But underneath it, if you are honest, it is fear. Fear that without the approval of others, you might not actually be enough. And so, you outsource your self-worth to people who are fighting their own quiet wars. People who are too overwhelmed by their own lives to carry yours. A man who requires constant validation is a man who has not yet met himself. He is searching for in others what he refuses to cultivate within himself. And no amount of praise, no number of likes, no volume of affirmation will ever fill that space. Because the space was never meant to be filled from the outside. It is filled by doing, by deciding, by building something in silence and finding on the other side of that silence, that you respect yourself. Let me speak about excuses for a moment, because this is where most men lose years of their lives. An excuse is not always a lie. That is what makes it so dangerous. An excuse is often a partial truth, dressed up and deployed as a complete one. Yes, you are tired. Yes, it is hard. Yes, you have less than others. Yes, the timing is not perfect. All of that can be true and still be irrelevant, because the question is not whether the obstacle is real. The question is what you are going to do in the presence of the obstacle. A man who waits for ideal conditions before he begins his work will die waiting. Conditions are never ideal. Life does not rearrange itself around your readiness. You move imperfectly with whatever you have, or you do not move at all. The pattern of excuse making is particularly destructive because it is self-reinforcing. Every time you accept your own excuse, you teach your nervous system that the excuse is a legitimate off-ramp. And the next time resistance appears, which it will, always, your mind reaches for the off-ramp faster. This is how men spend decades not becoming who they were capable of being. Not through dramatic failure, not through catastrophic collapse, but through thousands of small surrenders, each one individually justifiable, each one collectively devastating. Now, let us talk about comfort. Because comfort is perhaps the most seductive enemy a disciplined life has ever faced. Comfort is not wrong. Rest is necessary. Ease has its place, but there is a version of comfort that is not rest at all. It is avoidance dressed in pleasant clothing. It is the choice to remain in the familiar, not because you need recovery, but because the unfamiliar requires something from you that you are not yet sure you can give. And so you stay. You scroll. You watch. You consume. You delay. And each day that passes in that state is a day in which the distance between who you are and who you could be grows slightly wider. You do not feel it in a single day, but you feel it in a year. You feel it in 5 years. You feel it when you look at a version of your life that never quite arrived, because you kept choosing the easier option in every small moment. The addiction to comfort is not a character flaw. I want to be clear about that. It is a deeply human response to a world that has made comfort extraordinarily accessible. But understanding why something happens does not mean you are permitted to remain its prisoner. Awareness without action is just sophisticated suffering. You can understand your patterns completely and still be destroyed by them if you never choose differently. This is the moment where discipline enters. And I want to define discipline carefully, because it is widely misunderstood. Discipline is not punishment. It is not self-flagellation. It is not the harsh inner voice that tells you that you are worthless every time you fall short. That voice is not discipline. That voice is damage. Real discipline is something quieter and more powerful than that. Real discipline is the consistent alignment between what you say matters to you and what you actually do with your time. It is the closing of the gap between intention and action. It is showing up for yourself with the same reliability that you would show up for someone you deeply respect. Because at the heart of discipline is self-respect, not arrogance. Not superiority, simply the quiet decision that your life is worth taking seriously. When you begin to live with genuine discipline, something unexpected happens. The world does not become easier. The challenges do not disappear. But your relationship to difficulty changes. You stop seeing hard things as signs that something has gone wrong and start seeing them as the terrain through which growth moves. Difficulty stops being a threat and starts being information. It tells you where you are being asked to expand. And a man who can receive that information without collapse, without retreat, without the immediate search for comfort, that man is building something inside himself that cannot be purchased, cannot be inherited, and cannot be faked. Let me speak about pain, because this is a conversation that modern culture has almost entirely abandoned. We have built systems and philosophies around the elimination of pain, and while reducing unnecessary suffering is a worthy pursuit, we have gone further than that. We have begun treating all pain as pathology. We have begun treating discomfort as evidence of wrongness. And in doing so, we have robbed people of one of the most important transformative forces available to them. Because some pain is not a sign that something is broken. Some pain is a sign that something is being built. This is the work. It is not complicated. It is not sophisticated. It is not glamorous. It is simply the daily, repeated, unglamorous decision to take your life seriously, to take yourself seriously, to stop allowing the weaker version of yourself to make the decisions that the stronger version of yourself will have to live with. You came here for something. I believe that. Something in you reached toward this, because something in you knows that the current arrangement is not acceptable. Honor that reaching. Do not let it become another moment of temporary inspiration that dissolves by evening. Let it be the beginning of something you actually build. Something real. Something disciplined. Something yours. The world does not need more noise. It does not need more announcements and more performance and more men speaking loudly about journeys they have not taken. It needs men who have done the quiet work. Men who have faced themselves honestly and chosen to rebuild. Men who understand that strength is not a performance but a practice. Not a feeling but a commitment. Not a destination but a direction. You know what you need to do. You have probably known for longer than you are comfortable admitting. The question has never been one of knowledge. It has always been one of decision. So decide. Right now, in this moment, before the feeling fades and the familiar comfort calls you back, decide that you are done negotiating with your own weakness. Decide that the life you are capable of living is worth the discomfort of actually pursuing it. Decide that you will be the man who keeps his promises to himself, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Stop acting weak. Start building. In silence, in discipline, in the dark and unglamorous work of becoming someone you genuinely respect. Everything else will follow. If this reached something real in you, leave a comment right now with these words: I refuse to stay weak. Not for me, not for anyone watching, but as a declaration to yourself. A small act of public accountability that says you are choosing differently from this moment forward. Do it now, while the decision still feels alive in you. Comment: I refuse to stay weak,